Call to order the regular city council scheduled for August 5th, 2024. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Member Karen.
Here.
Member Cheney Huggett. Member Gates.
Here.
Member Traver.
Here.
Member Underhill.
Here.
Member Wolfersberger. We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to excuse Councilmember Wolfersberger.
So moved. Support.
A motion by Councilmember Karen, supported by Councilmember Gates. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That brings us to our Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Pledge allegiance flag of the United States. One. Thank you. Brings us to the approval of the agenda. Under item 6, we have public comment on agenda items. Persons addressing city council are required to give their name and address for the record when called upon by the mayor. Members of the public shall be limited to speaking for a maximum of 3 minutes. Comments shall address agenda item topics. Public hearing items should be addressed during the public hearing portion under item 10 of the meeting agenda. Non-agenda items shall be addressed during the public comment, non-agenda items, item 14 portion of the meeting agenda. Followed by number 7, our consent agenda. 7A is our city council minutes. 7B is city bills. 7C is special event request for the home tour. 7D, special event request for Skeleton Fest. 7E, special event request, Christmas Parade 2024. 7F, special event request for the costume parade. There is no presentations and recognitions, no informational items, no public hearings under item 10. No old business. Brings us to item 12A, the Blue Oval Industrial Facilities Tax Abatement to set a public hearing. Item 12B, DNR Forestry Grant. Item 12C, electric bucket truck purchase. Item 12D, bid approval, Riverwalk Phase 1A repairs. 12E, Dart Millage Levy Resolution. And then no appointments or elections. Brings item 14, public comment on non-agenda items. Persons addressing city council are required to give the name and address for the record when called upon by the mayor. Members of the public shall be limited to speaking for a maximum of 2 minutes. Comments shall be addressed the non-agenda item topics. Public hearing items shall be addressed during the public hearing portion, item 10 of the meeting agenda. Agenda items should be addressed during the public comment agenda items, item 6 portion of the meeting agenda. Followed by council and manager communications and adjournment. Take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support. Motion by Councilmember Karen, supported by Councilmember Underhill. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sign. Motion carries. That brings us to item 6, public comment on agenda items. Anyone wishing to speak? Yes, sir.
Yes, this is Barry. I am Barry Wayne Adams, 622 West Water Street. Hello. Item 12A, the giving of a tax abatement to Ford. Again, same company. I've unfixed it. I hope we get an extra couple seconds here.
Sure.
There's a thing called the Constitution. And there's a thing called Article 11, Section 1 of the Constitution, which says all of you are supposed to have taken an oath of office to uphold the Constitution. just as well as MCL 15.151. And it says in Article 9, Section 18 of the Michigan Constitution, 1963, the credit of the state shall not be granted to nor in aid of any person, association, or corporation, public or private, except as authorized in this Constitution. Everything that's been going on with this Blue Oval mega site project has been unconstitutional in that the Michigan Constitution prohibits the use of public funding or extending credit for taxes. Quoting from Opinion Attorney General 1928-30 at page 285, a municipality has no right to extend the credit for taxes. So, you know, Article 9, Section 18 says the credit of the state shall not be granted to nor in aid of any person, association, or corporation, public or private, except as authorized in this Constitution. The Black Marsh Drainage Distributors versus Rowe, the express limitation on power of state under constitutional provision that the credit of the state shall not be granted to nor in aid of any person, association, or corporation, public or private, applies with equal force to municipalities of state. So the whole thing going from the top down has been unconstitutional. And it's just been the smoke and mirrors of legalistic proceduralism that has pretty much boondoggled the people of the state of Michigan, who mindlessly rely on the corporate media for their information. It looks like this whole thing is a gaslighting operation. And, you know, as Americans, we have to do everything we can to stop it. You don't have any authority even to give the privilege of getting a tax abatement. It's not in there. No authority. Ultra vires. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on agenda item? Yes, ma'am.
Rebecca Sebring, Fredonia Township. So yeah, that I agree with Barry on the tax, giving them a discount. That is not good. I mean, you already used our road money to get the whole site going, and it's obvious by the county meeting that rumor was true. I was there and witnessed it. I don't think this is right. You know, you need to think about the constitutional and the laws on that as well. You know, we mean it. And this electric, your bucket truck, I'm telling you right now, like, you think that's gonna be better for, it takes so many miles racked up on those for there to even be better than a diesel machine. And you gotta leave it running. And in the winter, you know what the battery on your phone does when you leave it out in the yard by accident or outside in the car? It pretty well runs down. So that's gonna end up costing more. You're gonna waste a whole bunch of money and then end up finding that that's not gonna work during the winter months. I'm just saying, like, logically, it would be cheaper to revamp what we've already got. And this is the taxpayers' money you are using. And I'm pretty darn positive you did use our road money, according to all the township supervisors, on beginning the Blue Oval site and according to that meeting the last time.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Regis Klingler, 348 Butler Court, Marshall. I just had a number of questions on the agenda items. And I just hope they can be addressed when they are discussed during the agenda. On 12A, the property tax exemptions for Ford. I just want to make sure I understand the real meaning. Real property is industrial equipment. Personal property is buildings and improvements. I just want to make sure I understand that. And also, it says that the real property that Ford is going to install will be approximately 383 million, and the personal property about 900 million. The assessed value, I'm assuming that's assessed value. It said Ford's overall investment is 3.0 billion. If you double the real property and personal property, that only is 2.6 billion. I'd like to know what the difference is. Is that some other thing that they're spending money on that won't be taxed, or just what? on the citywide inventory of trees. I'd like to know if that has been completed and what the status of that is. It didn't really say in the packet or the agenda. And also on the Riverwalk Phase 1A, it says the recommendation is to proceed with Section 1A of that, which I believe is the engineering of that portion, of the east portion of the Riverwalk. I would like to know if that's engineering and installation. If you look at the bid tabulation, that amount was 477,000 and the recommendation was only 340,000. So what is the difference between the bid and that? Is there something that's not going to be done in Phase 1A or not? Thank you.
Hi, Rick Newcomb, Meadow Creek, Michigan. This is on agenda item 12C, the electric bucket truck. One of the things that we're finding with electric, whether it be truck or bus or car or whatever, the problem with a lot of this electric stuff, number one is, I found this article on Maryland finding out how costly this can be. Largest school district in Montgomery County found that they had electric buses led to millions of dollars of wasteful spending. And so what they did, they had maintenance issues and a whole bunch of stuff. Some of the things they cited was out of 326 new electric school buses would save, they said 6,500 gallons of fuel daily and cost 50% less. What they really found was that it was more costly all the way around, and they had big problems with maintenance. The reliability of the electric buses was terrible. We live in Michigan. We have winters. Now, we're not in Arizona. This is Michigan. And we all know that electric does not work well in Michigan. If you've ever had a car and gone out to try to start it in the winter and your crank amps is down, your car's not going to start. You're going to have to call AAA or somebody to get a jump. So the problem is here that they found that they had out of these 180 times or 280 times with repairs taking an average of 13 days and more than half exceeding the 5-day work week. But they had failed 280 times just between February and March. And I don't think as a single vehicle or a fleet of vehicles, electric in Michigan, whether it be buses or any kind of truck or whatever, I just don't think it's really that viable of a investment. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Ron Hamlin, Penfield Township, major mechanic, consumer energy substation. And pulling off of what Rick Becker said, it's not a good deal. I hope this whole council has really put a lot of thought into electric vehicles in this climate. You look back in Chicago, all the electric cars were stuck. And would you guys really consider that? I mean, personally, but I just, nice community, love your city. I just hope you guys would really put a lot of thought into this. I think it's a bad choice. Thank you.
No. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, that brings us to item 7, our consent agenda. Under 7A, our city council minutes, regular session from July 15, 2024. 7B is purchases on 7/12/2024 in the amount of $466,897.32. Under item 7B, purchases on 7/19/2024 in the amount of $274,639.76. Under item 7B, purchases on 7/26/2024 in the amount of $4,455.79. And under item 7B, June power purchases in the amount of $884,596.52 for a total of $1,630,589.39. And then under item 7C, Historical Society Special Event Request for Home Tour scheduled for September 9th and 10th, 2024. Choose Marshall under 7D, special event request for Skeleton Fest for September 28th. Then we have Marshall DDA, special event request for the Christmas Parade 2024, scheduled for December 2nd. Then the Marshall Fire Department special event request for the Children's Costume Parade, scheduled for October 2026. Or I'm sorry, October 26, 2024. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Councilmember Gates, supported by Councilmember Traver. A roll call vote, please.
Member Karen,
Yes.
member Cheney Huggett,
Yes.
member Gates,
Yes.
member Traver,
Yes.
member Underhill,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes,
Motion carries, Your Honor.
thank you. That brings us down to item 12A. Blue Oval Ford Industrial Facilities Tax Abatement to set the public hearing. City Manager.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of City Council. Public Act 198 of 1974 was enacted by the state of Michigan as an incentive program to stimulate economic growth. This incentive program involves removing real property from the regular assessment roll and instead levying a specific tax called an industrial facilities tax upon the owner or leasee of the approved industrial property. The holder of the industrial facilities tax exemption certificate pays a specific tax with a millage rate that is approximately half of the rate that is applied to the regular assessment roll. To qualify for the industrial facilities tax exemption certificate, an applicant must have a business that qualifies as a manufacturing operation and a new or existing industrial facility that is defined within the act as industrial property. As part of the Blue Oval incentive package, the City of Marshall committed to approving real property tax abatement. The first step is approving a tax abatement is the creation of an industrial development district, which was approved by the City Council on November 20th, 2023 within the major campus. The city has received an application for an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate from Ford Motor Company and affiliates, Blue Oval Battery Michigan LLC, and have requested consideration for the industrial facilities tax for a 12-year duration allowable under Public Act 198, 1974. Ford has indicated on their application that their investment upon total completion in 2026 will have an estimated market value of $383 million for real property and $900 million for personal property investments. The total and overall investment for the Blue Oval Battery Michigan project is roughly $3 billion and will generate 1,700 to 2,100 new jobs. That's the overall investment for the project, including state incentives. Public Act 198 of 1974 requires that before acting upon an application, the legislative body of the local government unit shall afford the applicant, the assessor, and a representative of the affected taxing units an opportunity for a hearing. We are recommending that City Council schedule a public hearing on August 19th, 2024 at 7 p.m. And that is what we're requesting tonight, is to set that public hearing. At that meeting, the applicant would be here, and obviously we would then consider the application that's being presented before you.
Thank you. So this is in lieu of a Renaissance zone, is that correct?
Correct. So when the original project was envisioned, I guess discussed, talked about, there was a multitude of incentives that were presented. One of those included the potential of a Renaissance zone, which would have had them, if they were eligible and approved by the state of Michigan and locally here, they would not have paid property tax. As part of that, we always, we inferred that, yes, we would consider a Renaissance zone, but you would have to tie it to some type of local pilot payment of lieu and taxes, so that essentially those essential public services still could be funded by the entity. However, when they had their second round of incentives discussion with the state of Michigan, that was no longer considered, so that has gone away. And the only incentive locally that we would be considering would be this IFT, which again, City of Marshall has granted probably over 100 IFTs since the late 70s, since this act was put in place.
And do we know how many years they're requesting at this point?
They are doing a 12-year request, plus 2 of construction essentially, but it'd be the full 12 years that's allowable under the act.
And then that meets our approved requirements, right, for
Right.
20 years?
Yeah,
Set by the
absolutely.
city.
So we have an IFT policy, and again, their level of investment and job numbers far exceed our normal policy for that. So they would get the maximum allowable under the policy.
Any questions, concerns about setting a public hearing? Discussion?
Just for clarification to the public, in case some people aren't familiar with some of these terms. I know we maybe don't have specific numbers right now, but can you tell us just generally what the tax revenue would be to the city compared with this arrangement compared to what the Renaissance zone would have been? Again, maybe not with a specific number, but just how do these two things compare?
Yeah, it's tough to make that comparison because again, the pilot, the payment in lieu of taxes that would have been tie-barred to the Renaissance, that would have been a basic negotiation process, right? So there really would not have been any metric that would have said whether we request $100, $100,000 or $1 million. It basically would have been really a simple negotiation as part of that. Well, probably would not have been simple. It probably would have been complex. With the IFT, the state law is pretty clear. It basically looks at your existing millage rates. So let's say our general fund, and it would be 50% of that millage rate times the taxable value. And again, the number that they presented is a market value. And again, this is their number. We need to remember that our, city assessor ultimately is those that determines what those taxable value numbers are through their assessment process. And again, they have already looked at this and they think it's reasonable. So I don't expect it to vary much from that. But again, that's why he assesses property, frequently. But again, if you took that 383 times 0.5, you come up with the 191 number. 191 millions, you multiply that by half the tax rate. Again, don't hold me to these numbers, but potentially from the general fund, we could see revenues close to $1.6 million on an annual basis. That's a full build out. That's again, if these numbers come to fruition. As part of that $1.6 million, as part of the 425 agreement that we have with Marshall Township, they would receive 2 mills of that, which would then roughly equate to about $383,000. So significant portion of that 1.6 would go towards Marshall Township to use as they see fit, whether they want to do local road projects or whatever. Again, if that's their discretion. And that's why we have that master 425 agreement, is to, again, extend the utilities, provide that service to those property owners that want utilities. And then also it provides additional revenue for those township entities. So.
I'll take a motion to set a public hearing for August 19, 2024 at 7 PM to consider the Ford Motor Company and affiliates Blue Oval Battery Michigan LLC application for an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate.
So move.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Travers, supported by Councilmember Cheney Huggett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. That brings us to item 12B, DNR Forestry Grant. City Manager, or Marguerite, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight I'm requesting approval to submit a grant to the Department of Natural Resources. They are currently, excuse me, receiving grants for their IRA Urban and Community Forest Program. And we have worked with contractor and consultant to put together a grant, a draft grant at this point, for forestry services within the city. The grant would help us fund a complete forestry inventory for trees within the city right of way, including size, type, health of the tree, and any sort of maintenance activities that needed to be done on the tree, including software and a program to help measure that and keep track of that database. Also, part of the grant would include funds for removal of some trees that need to be removed and planting of new trees. So this is a really great opportunity for us to I would say get a really great baseline of our existing tree inventory. We've looked at grants like this before and we haven't always, we don't typically qualify very well for them, but this particular program is fitting for us and our consultant that we're working with is helping to write the grant for that, to meet the needs of the grant. At this time, there's no budget impact. Should we receive the grant, we would come back with budget amendments. I guess I should have started with that. Currently, we manage trees through an as-needed resident inquiry or resident request. So someone has a concern about the tree, they call and we go out and we look at it. We don't currently have a tree inventory of trees within the city, nor a robust investigation process for the trees. So this would help get us that baseline information to move our operations forward smoothly.
So is this grant, and one of the questions was, our tree inventory, is that done yet? So this grant is to provide for the inventory and to move
Correct.
forward for the program.
Yep, this
Nothing's
grant,
done yet. This would help with that.
correct. This
Alright.
would be grant monies to do that. We don't have staff who are, nor tablets and information, or staff who are trained to identify trees and make holistic approaches that this would do, nor that it's a big time crunch.
Stump removal?
We did discuss stump removal, and that's one of the things we'd like to accomplish, and we'll probably be bringing that proposal to you either at the next meeting or the following meeting. But this really what it does is it allows us to develop a robust management plan for our urban forestry system that we have here. We know we have trees, but we don't know, type, we don't know health, we don't know location, where this will also be part of the GPS layer that we'll create and it'll help us develop an actual management plan on how we should be taking care of the forest and where we should be, planting new trees, that kind of thing. So,
Okay.
and the price is right. It doesn't require any match from the city.
I'll take a motion to approve the grant application to the Michigan DNR for the IRA Community and Urban Forestry Program in the amount of $125,000.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Gay, supported by Councilmember Cheney Huggett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. That brings us to items 12C, electric bucket truck purchase. Kevin?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Electric bucket truck number 324 is a 2007 model. I apologize for that typo in the report to you. It was scheduled for replacement in 2022. Last year, council approved purchasing an All-Tech bucket truck through the My Deals program. The issue at the time was that they projected that it would take 5 years for us to get this vehicle, 2028. And they were unable to give us a firm price at that time. They gave us a contingency price at the time of shipment, estimated at a little over $428,000. So if we look ahead to 2028, truck 324 will be 21 years old. We typically replace these bucket trucks after 15 years because they get daily use. And over the past couple of years, we've had some mechanical issues with this vehicle and some of the others too. And staff are concerned if we wait until 2028, that this is not going to be able to provide reliable service for an additional 4 years. So back in January, we found that Custom Truck Source in Grass Lake had vehicles available on their lot, and council approved purchasing one to replace another bucket truck that was due for replacement at that time. So we contacted them again. They have a vehicle at approximately the same price. We purchased the one in January for about $225,000. This one is $232,000. but it would be available immediately to us. And this vehicle, if you looked at the specifications in here, it's powered by a Cummins L9 diesel engine. And we have a number of diesels and they work very well for us. So we are here to request that we be allowed to purchase this vehicle from Custom Truck Source in the amount of $232,860, and that we then cancel that order with Altech.
Thank you. Some of the comments for agenda items was that they thought this was an electric vehicle. It is not an electric vehicle, correct?
No, it's for the electric department, but it's a diesel powered vehicle.
Right. So, any other comments?
Mayor, I'll move to approve the electric bucket truck purchase from Custom Truck One Source in the amount of $232,860 and to cancel the order with Alltech Industries approved on July 17th, 2023.
Support. Have a motion by Councilmember Karen, supported by Councilmember Traver. A roll call vote, please.
Member Cheney Huggett,
Yes.
Member Gates,
Yes.
Member Traver,
Yes.
Member Underhill, Mayor Schwartz,
Yes,
Member Karen.
Yes.
Motion carries, Your Honor.
thank you. That brings us to item 12D. Bid approval for Riverwalk Phase 1A repairs. City Manager?
Thank you. This is a long time coming. I know with this group, city council's aware, we've had several sections of the Riverwalk in different states of disrepair. The worst has been the portion that was constructed originally between Stewart's Landing and South Marshall. Council authorized putting aside our remaining ARPA funds. We had $100,000 from the Cronin grant, and we had some money from several years of the Calhoun County Parks Millage, which gave us about $340,000 to put towards those repairs of the Riverwalk. With that initial investment, we figured it was time to actually try to get this bid out so we could, again, work on that worst section that really was starting to tip into the wetlands. Because they were located in the wetlands, it took us quite a while actually to get a permit from the state of Michigan. We did secure that early in July. So we worked with the consultants that designed it originally, MC Smith at the time, but now they're MCS Group. And they put together an engineering package for us and put that out to bid. And one of the actual low bidder that we're recommending was the individual company that constructed it the first time. So they're very well aware of the Riverwalk, how it was constructed and how they can basically stretch our dollars as far as possible. And really, that's our recommendation for you tonight. We know we don't have the $1.2 million needed to replace that entire section, but we're confident that we can work with this contractor to basically repair and replace the worst section of it so that it would be, basically we could open it up again for the public, so. And then going forward, these types of projects, Riverwalks, trails are seen in a good light with the State of Michigan Department of Natural Resources. So we'll start putting forward grants through the Natural Resources Trust Fund to try to secure those dollars so that we can continue the repairs and replacement that's needed on the Riverwalk.
So this is just to put a Band-Aid on for right now.
Actually, they'll be doing on the sections that they'll be doing, this will last probably another 40 years. It's just that we can't do it all, right? So we need to find the worst parts of it and let them get to work on it so that we can get that section opened up again, so.
With that, I'll take a motion to approve the construction bid with TJM Services for Phase 1A of the Riverwalk and maximize the use of the available $340,000 construction funds for the project.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Gates, supported by Councilmember Cheney Huggett. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Member Traver,
Yes.
Member Underhill,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Karen,
Yes.
Member Cheney Huggett,
Yes.
Member Gates.
Yes.
Motion carries, Your Honor.
Thank you. This brings us to item 12E, Dart Millage Levy Resolution. City Manager?
Thank you. My final item for tonight is the Dart Millage Levy Resolution. As City Council is aware, since 1974, the City of Marshall has operated a dial-a-ride service, basically a curb-to-curb bus. You call, and for a low fee, they'll pick you up and take you to your destination, and then you can obviously reverse that and get you back home. Recently, the Calhoun County Transit Authority was stood up at the county level. City of Marshall opted to participate in that with 3 other cities, Springfield, Battle Creek, and Albion. And as part of that, they will be going to the voters in November to ask for a millage question as far as being able to operate it. And the question they've asked us is, would we still levy our millage in addition to theirs? And the response has been, no, we would not. That would be in lieu of the countywide millage. But in order for them to go out and make that statement to the public, we think it's appropriate that we do some formal statement via resolution so that they can take that and then go out and talk to the voters. Just to make, again, reassure them that we would not be levying our 0.9 mils for dial-a-ride if the countywide transit authority millage is successful. So that's what the resolution's for tonight.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve resolution 2024-22, a resolution to declare Dart millage levy intent.
So moved.
Support. Motion by Councilmember Gay, supported by Councilmember Underhill. Roll call vote, please.
Member Underhill,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Member Karen,
Yes.
Member Cheney Huggett,
Yes.
Member Gates,
Yes.
Member Traver.
Yes.
Motion carries, Your Honor.
Thank you. That brings us to item 14, public comment on non-agenda items. Persons addressing city council are required to give their name and address for the record when called upon by the mayor. Members of the public shall be limited to speaking for a maximum of 2 minutes. Comments shall address non-agenda item topics. Anyone wishing to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hello. My name is Kelly Isaac. I'm at North Liberty here in Marshall. I just wanted to say, I came with a group to come to the planning meeting last week, and it was on the website. And we got here, it was supposed to take place at 7 PM on July 30th. We got here, and it took a lot for me to get here. At that time, I had to rush around. We showed up and the doors were locked. There was no notice or anything. It was on the website. I have a screenshot. I don't know what happened. I don't know who to even address that issue to, but respect goes both ways. And I try to always be respectful to my elected officials and patient. I know there's a lot of heavy decisions to be made. I'll comment on the fact that I believe Ford should pay taxes. We all are struggling to pay our taxes in this town. It's expensive to live here. So Ford should pay. They should pay because, you know what? We need to hire an environmental specialist in this community. I don't know, the city's gonna pay for it. Mieta, somebody needs to come up with somebody that can be a bridge to the community and reassure us that our water is safe. I got 24 seconds left. I got a lot more to say, but I have no idea. I've searched and searched where to find information on this. The water plan, all this stuff has just been coming in piecemeal. There's nobody that I can ask questions to, and I hope that changes. Communication is very important with the public. Thank you for your service.
Rebecca Sebring, Fredonia Township. It's from Crossroads and Epic Times.
The Chinese Communist Party right now is launching a charm campaign, and they're targeting foreign leaders and foreign investors. And this comes in the wake of the CCP's top-level meetings of the third plenum. But while the CCP appears to be trying to form new deals, another crisis for the regime is looming in the background. The United States is planning to announce new sanctions on the Chinese Communist Party. The U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the U.S. is preparing new sanctions on Chinese entities that support Russia's war in Ukraine, and hinted that banks may be in the crosshairs. That's one part of it, but there's other stuff as well. The U.S. is considering tougher trade rules to rein in the Chinese chip industry. And as the CCP is losing the cash and the influence that it used to have, it's now finding that it has much less to back up its objectives on the world stage. There are major concerns right now that the United States is being subverted and targeted from the Chinese Communist Party. And frankly, not just even the United States, even other countries as well. Key political figures, influencers, all of them right now are being targeted by the CCP. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability held a second hearing on how to defend the United States from the CCP's political warfare ops. And according to a House memo, the hearing aimed to, quote, delve deeper into CCP influence and infiltration into specific sectors within the U.S., including within the business community, federal agencies, and international institutions. Representative Comer noted that a large part of these CCP operations are carried out by its United Front Work Department. A large focus of these types of CCP operations is also to sow division among Americans.
There you go. There's the truth.
Thank you. Hold on. Oh, go ahead. No. You want to come over? Okay. Thanks, man.
Hi, Rick Newcomb, Battle Creek, Michigan. What I want to bring up is we all live in small communities. You all govern small communities. And what we realize is that in these small communities, we're surrounded by farmland, lots of farmland, which basically grows a lot of food. And we all need food to survive, you, me, kids, grandkids, everyone. So we have resources underneath the surface of the farmland. Some of those are used for all kinds of different things with the batteries, all kinds of different metals and whatnot. But the communists, like was brought up with Rebecca, the communist China CCP is coming into our land and they're taking our natural resources. Well, those are natural resources that belong to the United States of America. That's all of us. That's not them. They're not our friends, they're our enemy. So what they're doing is they're taking all this. So what they give you a little bit of an example. The government gave Ukraine a Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2023, which was billions of dollars. Well, also there was one in 2022 and 2024. But what happened in 2023, somehow the Julius Global wanted to mine cobalt in Idaho. And in Idaho, the funny thing about Idaho was that they got $15 million of this money that was supposed to go to Ukraine. And so what they did was the water department in Idaho shut down water, which is really needed to mine. All mining uses a tremendous amount of water. They did that and they shut down water to 500,000 acres of farmland. Now, I don't know where you think famines start, but that's a good start. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Regis Klingler, 345 Butler Court. I just wanted to first make a note that communication is very important. What you put on the agenda item, try not to be confusing. That the electric bucket truck should be electric department bucket truck would resolve a lot of confusion for the public. So keep that in mind when you're doing the agenda and putting out reports. I'm sorry, I just lost my place here and I was going to read. So this is, actually was on Maida's Facebook page. We're continuing to build on the ULI. I don't know why it's not showing. Survey. Or effort to host small group meetings to answer questions, incorporate feedback into future planning, including the update to the City of Marshall Master Plan, Parks and Recreation Plan, and Economic Development Plan. I brought this up at the last meeting. I have heard nothing about these small groups, who can be on them, when they're being held, when they will meet. That is very important. Again, bringing communications and letting the people know what's going on and have input. Extremely important. Thank you.
Julie Bryant, Squaw Creek. To kind of piggyback what Regis just said, I don't really think you guys really care if the public really knows what's going on. And, you know, this whole thing where we have public comment about agenda items before you guys even talk about anything, that's just backwards. You know, this electric bucket truck thing that's right here is a good example of it. Just what he was saying. Okay, it's typed misinformation, and then it's misleading the public once again, which you guys are really good at, misleading us on everything. There's no communication. We haven't even had a meeting with Ford in a year. They're too afraid after they went to Ceresco. They're too afraid to meet with the residents. They've never, ever had a meeting with us. Okay, so far as them having to pay taxes, I know you guys are all excited. You're gonna be getting some money. Again, everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid and getting all excited that they're gonna be getting money from Ford that they should have been getting for to begin with. You all made a bad deal. We shouldn't be like, oh yay, now we're gonna get some money from them when we all should have got some money for a giant project like this to begin with. Or if we are getting money, the public doesn't really know what it is, where it's going for. You know, maybe some of that money can be used to treat all the cancer, because I really believe that what's going to be in our air, what's going to be blowing onto the down here, all the stuff that's going to be getting into our water along the Kalamazoo River, you know we have one person that has, you know, a thing against cancer, but if you all don't think that this isn't going to make everybody sick eventually, mark my words, it's going to be a problem. Okay, and then the last thing, do you guys ever look at the meetings that other people have set up? The township people, we try to be here, we try to be there, we go to the township meetings. The 19th, there's already a meeting set for that day. It's very disrespectful. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, sir.
Me again, Ron Hamlin, Penfield. Yeah, it could have been, 12C could have just said utility bucket truck. That might, a way to say that. Your Riverwalk, to stretch the dollars, could you ask for some volunteers, like people my age that are still fit, to stretch the dollars to help with that project, maybe? Just a suggestion. You got this much money here, stretch it further by having a group of volunteers that love your community. Just a thought. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, sir.
Barry Wayne Adams, 622 West Green Street. Because the progression of events have gone in a wrong way and contrary to the overwhelming will of the people. And we need to pull Marshall out of this Soviet style governance thing that's been going on. I've decided to throw my hat in the ring, and the clerk has validated my petition signatures, so I will be on the ballot on November 5th, running against Mr. Wolfersberger. And too bad he isn't here today. I was going to propose there be a debate or a number of debates that we can discuss in front of the townspeople the crucial issues at hand. And I don't want to throw out any premature prognostications, but just from my interactions with a good number of people from different cross sections of the city, I probably will prevail just on the fact that I am not Scott Wolfersberger. You guys don't realize it, and you're in your little political narcissistic bubble, but there is a huge amount of animosity about what you guys have been doing with the mega site. And if I am mayor, when I get in, we will address that and we will reverse all the illegalities and the improprieties that have occurred that have created this mess. Everything about this has been illegal from the top down, and we will act to reverse that in a major way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, that brings us to item 15, Council and Manager Communications. Councilmember Gates.
Well, I'm always hesitant to address things like this, but I will just say, to say nothing of the substantive part of Ford's partnership with CATL, just with regard to city council, none of us up here have security clearance. There are federal agencies, there's a State Department, there's a CIA, and those are the entities that take care of international relations and that would examine if there were a security concern. They would examine that. Nobody at the local level is able to do that. We don't receive intelligence briefings. And that's above our pay grade to be examining things like that. We have to get our information from intelligence sources and not from websites or pundits. So, thank you.
Councilmember Underhill.
We have a beautiful new website that has
Excuse me. Quiet, please.
beautiful new
Some
website
respect.
every Friday. Michelle puts out the actual packet, which in this week's packet, if it was looked at, has the specifications of that truck showing everything it has in it, diesel engine, horsepower it has, everything in there. So just going forward, it is on the West City website as of 5 p.m. on every Friday. So just reference for everyone out there. Thank you.
Councilmember Karen.
Nothing further, thank you.
Councilmember Traver.
I just want to say it was a great event over the weekend downtown, Marshall Motor Fest. Thought it was excellent. I thought participation was great. Cars were great. Looking forward to more of that. Thanks.
Councilmember Janie Huggett.
Yeah, we had the airport board meeting today and want to remind everybody that the airport is having a breakfast next Saturday, the 18th. Not this coming Saturday, but the following week, from 8 until 11. And from just unsolicited comments from people that I've heard, everybody's really enjoying it.
Thank you. City Manager.
Just a couple comments. One, tomorrow night, the police department and our fire department will be participating in the National Night Out event. That's Tuesday, the 6th from 4 to 6 at the fairgrounds. I know they've been pushing out some social media on that, but if you have an opportunity, go check that out. If you have young children, I know they tend to do some activities for them. So especially look at the vehicles, that kind of thing. And then I'll let Michelle speak obviously to the election tomorrow, but my only comment is the city does have a trash, leaf, brush, millage proposal on there. And I just want to make our voters aware of that's a dedicated millage for 0.75 mils. And that funds that program for the city. That's it.
Thank you. Clerk.
As Manager Perry said, we do have an election tomorrow. The precinct will be open from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. tomorrow at St. Mary's Church. Absentees, we are at about a 70% return rate. Early voting, as far as everything for countywide, for the entire early voting center, there was 289 people who took advantage of it. Of that 289, 77 were from Marshall. About half of those did it in February, so we'll see what happens again in November.
Thank you. The planning commission meeting was canceled. That was brought up. Was there a notice put out? Can you look into that, please? Yeah, we need to get that posted. I agree 100%. I took part in the Oneness Peace Run that took place last week. They travel across Canada, the United States. It's actually goes around the world. Met people from different countries, none from the United States was in that group. They were spreading, you know, goodwill and that oneness that, you know, as they said, you hear things on news, but as they're going around talking to people, that's not what their experiences are. That people do want to get along, that people do have things in common. And I thought that was great to see and be a part of. Again, the downtown, yes, the Motorfest was a huge success. I thought that was great. Another event downtown for our merchants as well. I don't know if some of these, if we got any feedback from there. With that being said, I take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Support by Councilmember Travers, supported by Councilmember Underhill. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Same sign. Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned.